Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Mr. Chairman, my professors, dear colleagues. It's actually amazing for me to find only few people using such a device, because I believe, as you will show in the cases, it's sometimes the only way to do your procedure. So I will show you rapidly a brief summary of 3 cases in which the angulated microcasters were crucial in executing the ostial CTOs of LAD and CX. There are mainly 2 types of angulated microcaster in the market: the deflectable microcaster, like the Venture microcaster you all know, and others come with a fixed tip angle, like the Super Cross microcaster. The first case is of an ostial CTO of LAD, or near ostial, as you will see here. The main difficulty, as you can appreciate, is the severe angulated takeoff of the LAD just before the CTO stump. So as expected, although making many curves for the wire, it always prolapsing into the CX. No wire can negotiate such a curve, especially with a very proximal CTO. So I just left the wire in the CX and then introduced the Venture microcaster to the distal left main, remove the wire, and then deflect the tip of the microcaster to a 90 degree, and then again reintroduce my workhorse wire, and now it's very easy, directed towards the LED stump, towards the LED angle, and then to the CTO stump, and even it penetrated the stump easily, supported by the Venture microcaster. Now sliding the microcaster towards the occlusion, but the wire could not advance, so I have to change it into a conventional turn-back LP microcaster, and then it took actually the curve beautifully, and then could be delivered to the CTO stump, and now we can start the real business of CTO. Continue the procedure as usual. I used a couple of penetrating wires, Pilot and CP12. After some time, I could penetrate to the distal cap, and then I preferred to descalate to fielder in order to safely reach the distal, very diseased LED. Then continue as usual, and I end with such a result. Without the microcaster, actually, I could not even start the CTO procedure. The next case was for a young man with a real ostial LED CTO, perfectly flushed with the ostial of the large CX. There is some antigrade flow through small channels, but to a diagonal, not to the LED. And there are beautiful septals to the mid-LED, denoting maybe there is another mid-CTO as well. As expected, the wire, again, the same behavior, could not be wedged into the ostial stump, always prolapsing into the CX. So I took one of the fixed curve microcaster now, like the Super Cross, with a 90-degree curve, and surprisingly, when directed towards the ostial LED, the fielder can very easily be slided through the channels to the occlusion. But actually, it advanced to the diagonal, not to the LED. The microcatheter could not be advanced across the angle, so I just ballooned proximally, achieving a good antegrade flow, but to a large diagonal, showing another mid-CTO. Now you can argue to start retrograde. It's attractive here, but I was lucky that the Fielder XT supported with a turnback LP could fish the mid-occlusion and pass to the mid-LED, but not to the distal. I got help with the Gaia second, and it can complete the wiring to the distal LED and then continue the procedure as usual. But in this case, actually, there were a lot of work to be done, especially in fixing such a nasty bifurcation, a lot of dissection at the bifurcation. I used mini crush and then crossover stenting left main to LED, another stent due to a long dissection in the mid-LED in the site of the mid-occlusion, and then a lot of optimizations, actually, as you see, for the bifurcation pot, and then kissing, and then another pot for the left main, opening the thrust to the CX, distal left main kiss, and finally, pot for the left main. And I was lucky, actually, to have such a good result after a long procedure, about 1.5 hours, in this young man. This young man now, for 4 years, he's doing great, actually, with no angina. My last example is for this case I did recently for a man that had received Deke crash for distal left main 3 years before, with the operator reporting failing to perform final kiss due to inability to recross to the CX at the end of the procedure. So the man has severe angina now for more than a year, and as you see, expected CTO of ostial CX, of the stent of the CX, crushed in the distal left main. This is the main ostial CTO here, but there appears to be another CTO as well in the mid distal to the stent. So again, the same behavior. Wire could not be wedged at all in the ostium, despite trying several shapes, several guide wires. Desperately, I tried to widen some struts in order to wedge a Confianza CP12 wire, but it could not penetrate through the 3 layers of crushed stents at the ostium of the CX. So again, what saved me is one of those devices. I chosen the angulated with a 90-degree curve, and surprisingly, by directing it towards the ostium, occluded ostium of the CX, the Confianza wire could penetrate now the crushed stent and advance through the stent CTO. In this case, it's actually exit the stent in a false lumen. In the second CTO, as you see, I have to change to another wire, but I have to pass the microcatheter through the struts first. With great difficulty, I could pass it enough to change into a Gaia third, which passed again into the occlusion, the false lumen. So by directing the Gaia towards the true lumen, suggested by the dancing behavior of the wire, as you see, and confirmed by angiography. And then I did stent the mid-occlusion due to a large hematoma, and preferred to use a DCB in the proximal in-stent occlusion. I was lucky to have a nice final result here. So, Mr. Chairman, dear colleagues, I can simply give a message that such a simple tool of angulated microcatheter, they are underused, but they are sometimes very useful, and I believe in osteal CTOs, they are crucial. So I just advise to be a part of any CTO toolbox. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Sherif.